Hi everybody, and welcome to the Money Man, Money Boy show. I got Ollie Keohane as the Money Boy. Ollie, how you doing, man?
Good, thanks, Kev. How are you?
Good. You had a successful weekend this weekend in sports.
Yeah, maybe the first one this year.
No, it's been a tough year with COVID and everything else. So obviously we've had to change our plans and betting patterns according to the amount of games that are there. And with rugby is certainly our specialty. With no rugby being played in South Africa, it's been a bit tough for rugby punters.
At least, I mean, you found some value in the Aussie markets even this weekend. I didn't go there, but you know, the New Zealand rugby's been cool. Sport in general is like trickling back, so I think.
Well, we've got baseball started back up. We've got the NBA that starts in another couple of weeks. We've got the National Hockey League that starts up. We've got
all your favorites.
All my favorites. We got South African rugby that starts up in August.
Yeah.
The PSL is starting up in August. So there are a lot of sports that are trying to finish the season. So there's going to be a lot of sports coming at punters out there. So good time to be a punter if you can be selective and disciplined.
If you can be disciplined, definitely the key.
So where did you make? We both selected the Canes to not lose by 11.5, and then they go and win by 2.
I mean, I thought that they always might actually sneak a win. So the conservative bet, you know, was a good call there. And then I made some points on an over/under with them. I took over 61.5 points, which was valued at like 3.5 to 1, which I thought was quite good, considering it would be a kind of a big bash out. The conditions were decent, and it was, you know, I think it was about 66 combined points. So just over, so I made some cash there. And then finally on the Premier League, made some money on its last weekend. I've been losing for every weekend of the Premier League, so nice to finally win some back.
And were you confident in the bets you made, or?
Definitely confident. I was a bit bummed with Leicester because I only placed the bet after watching the first 10 minutes of the match, and I thought, they actually look, you know, the stronger side. Some guy said on the website, "Can't believe you back Leicester," underneath my little screenshot. But I mean, it was tight up until 45 minutes, and then Man U just sort of went from strength to strength second half. But I was happy with the other bets I made. It was a bit nail biting. I was waiting till the 96th minute just to see that Watford wouldn't equalise. Arsenal threw a 3-0 lead
to 3-2. It was a good closing to the good end to the season.
Definitely. With
Norwich, Bournemouth, and Watford being relegated. And so what bets did you win this weekend?
So I won a multi-bet on Watford and Liverpool. I mean, on Arsenal and Liverpool to both win. I'd actually wanted to do a builder bet.
So a multi-bet is where you bet on one team and that money goes on to the next game, yeah?
Yeah, so you can bet across, across games, across sports, across leagues. Doesn't really matter, obviously. You know, the more you've got in your multi-bet, the higher your return's going to be. My one mate put down a multi-bet for £20 with odds of 25 to 1. Ended up winning back £480 on Sunday evening. So he responded to my screenshot saying, also had a great night. So for my 800 Rand was good, but he's walking away with the equivalent of 10 grand.
No, it's that was a nice bet. Anytime you get 25 to 1 return, that's fantastic.
Well thought out bet from his side as well. It wasn't just sort of, I think a lot of guys get enticed by like they see a multi-bet and it's like, okay, I'm just going to pick like win, lose. But the way you want to structure a multi-bet is like, over 10.5 corners here, this team to win, this team to be leading at halftime. So you're really like selective about what you're betting on in those different matches. You're not just punting on like, out of the 7 teams playing this weekend, they'll win, they'll lose. Because that's, I think, where guys always go wrong, is that there's that one upset of the weekend,
Well, that's the temptation. You've got 10 games that kicked off at one time on Sunday. And a lot of people bet on a lot of games. I can only, I've got my laptop, which has got DSTV, which has got a bit of a time lag. And then I've got another TV on, and then another computer. So I only bet on 2 matches in that. One of them being Man United, obviously, and that was was lucky to come off, but it still comes off. And the thing, if you can get a 50% selection rate on football, then you're doing incredibly well because you've got 3 outcomes.
That's incredibly volatile. Is that your sort of rule of thumb though, that you'll only bet if there's like 10 matches at once, that you'll only bet on 2 of them?
So that because I want to focus. I want to look if I can cash out. I want to look to see if there's a bet I should be making in running. Yeah, so you can't concentrate on
Yeah.
more than 2 games. In fact, you should only be concentrating on 1 game.
It's a good tip, because I had a guy asking me sort of like, how does this, how do you make sure this doesn't become an addiction? And I just said to him, like, you've always told me don't top up your account to, to make it seem like your money's still in there. But I think, another good call would probably be pick your 2 matches and monitor those 2. Don't stretch further than that, because it's very tempting. I mean, there were, those 10 games, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, let me put a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there.
Yeah, you got to look at it as an investment, and you're putting whatever money you put in there where you want it to grow, and slowly catch the monkey. It's like you've got to be pragmatic with betting. So you can't be a good bettor betting across 10 games.
For sure.
I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
So it's important to, and which we do. We talk about our losses as much as we talk about our wins.
Yeah.
Here, So one of your fans or mates has a question on the over/under.
Yeah, just to sort of give a brief outline of over/unders, and then I thought we could also chat about where you see value in them, because like we've said from the beginning, betting is not always a direct win or loss thing. There's a lot of value in other markets, and like I saw this past weekend, over/unders, can really return you good money. So if you could just give an explanation of what they are and when you use them and find value in them.
Okay. Well, an over and under bet in a game, whether it be soccer, let's focus on rugby, will be a market that's created on how many points, how many combined points the bookies think that these teams will accumulate in the game. So let's take a game this weekend that I have not even looked at the market on. You pick one and I'll tell you what the over/under might be in those games and explain it from there.
The Crusaders are playing the Chiefs in Waikato.
Okay. So you're probably looking at an over/under around 53.5.
Yeah.
Which means that if you think that there's going to be a lot of points scored, you go plus 53.5. If you think that that there's going to be less than 54 points scored, or 53 or less, then you go minus. You're going to go under the 53.5. A lot of people get stuck not wanting to play the under because gambling is the nature where you want fast-flowing, high-scoring games, and you don't want to be cheering for defenses.
Yeah.
It took me many years before I started placing under bets. And what I found I was doing was I'd always play the over. Wanting to bet on a high-scoring game, fast-flowing, all that stuff. It's a gambler's trap. But the value in any under game is equal to an over game if it's the right bet. What I mean by that is if weather conditions dictate and it's raining and it's damp and the bookies have priced in a high-scoring game, then it's a good opportunity to go under.
Yeah.
Even though every part of you will not want to cheer for an under.
Yeah.
It's the right, there's certain times where the under is the right bet to make.
Because I suppose a sports fan doesn't want in the first half a total points of, accumulated points of 53.5 and then just be wishing that no one scores for the second half, It's not ingrained in any sports fan to be wishing for
absolutely
no action.
Yeah.
So.
No, so I mean, at 53.5, say the total points, the bookies say 53. It's going to be, someone's going to win that bet. It's it's no draw in that scenario.
And those markets fluctuate a lot, obviously, during the game too. So it's good in-game bets to be looking at sometimes.
But again, we've talked about ebb and flows in game, and points come in bunches, and sometimes teams don't score for 10, 15, 20 minutes of a game, which then drastically affects the market back the other way. But an over/under bet is a bet on how many points will or won't be scored in a game.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that's where one has to trust. We spoke last week about trusting your research and your instinct, and it's like if you had to go for a Crusaders game, for instance, is they won't score, for 20 minutes of the first half, and the markets might change for an under, but the Crusaders always come back in the last 10, 15 minutes and will score, at least 10 points.
I was very tempted to put a bet on them to win the game from the 60-minute mark.
Really?
And I think it was 13-10. And I just didn't.
Yeah.
I was glad I followed my gut and didn't place a bet because I would have lost.
Yeah, it can be very enticing though. When you see all the in-run markets like that's. I mean, there's pros and cons to everything in betting, but I guess that's like, you see value there, but you also think there is that ebb and flow, and if I try and cash in there, I might just might come back and bite me.
Yeah. Well, there's always that opportunity. There's always that risk. I mean, that's why it's gambling.
For sure.
And so let's see how much you've learned. Where would you handicap the games this weekend?
Sure, it's tough. I think
So we got the Chiefs versus the Crusaders in
it's in Waikato.
Waikato.
I think, to be honest, the Chiefs, I don't see them winning a game this season. I think it's now just 8 losses in a row. Every week it's a TMO referral and this, and I just don't think they're really there mentally, physically, and the Crusaders are the top side in the country. I would say 8.5. The Crusaders, just over a try, because the Chiefs winger out now as well. Suffered another injury blow.
Oh, shame.
I don't know how to pronounce his name, but
yeah. I would say around 7.5, but 8.5. So you're getting there.
Yeah.
And the Blues Highlanders.
Blues Highlanders. It's in Dunedin. I don't know. I might look to take probably be about a 10.5 market, but I'll take
10.5 for who?
I think they'd give. I'll take plus 10.5 for the Highlanders. I don't think the Blues would beat them by more than 2 tries, but I think the Blues could be valued at over a try.
Yeah, I think the handicap on that's going to be around 5.5. I haven't seen it yet, but
really,
yeah, it won't be as high as 10.5 on an away game.
Yeah, that's true.
If the Blues were at home, yeah, it would be maybe 10.5, 9.5, but not.
Highlanders are a funny side, though. It's like you kind of expect them to get smashed, then they don't. Then you expect them to put up a fight and they get smashed. So,
well, all New Zealand derbies are reasonably close. Even the ones that have ended in 20-point wins for the Crusaders were close until the 60th, 70th minute.
For sure.
So it's a tough market to bet on, but that's why I steer away from any double-digit handicaps in New Zealand rugby, because those teams the Chiefs are capable of beating the Crusaders this weekend.
Yeah.
So I'll be very interested in a handicap, and on Thursday's show we'll make our selections and see if we can get some people get tip some winners.
Yeah, hopefully we'll carry the momentum. I think we both had 2 good weekends. So
yeah.
Carried on to next week.
I hope so.
Thanks, Kev.
Thanks, Ollie. Cheers, mate.